This is Andy Purewal for Boxing Social, and I'm delighted to be joined by trainer Adam Booth. Adam, how are you?
I'm fine, how are you?
I'm all good, thanks. Good to hear you doing well. Obviously, we're down here today. Josh Kelly fighting on Saturday night on the Alan Brown undercard. Talk to him about preparations for his camp with Ranowski.
What would you like to know?
How has he looked in comparison to his previous camps?
There's definitely an evolution happening. He's developing physically, mentally, emotionally, technically. So I'm happy, like at this stage of a career, there has to be development and big improvements in everything that he's doing. And that's exactly what I've seen. So as a coach, I'm as happy as I can be.
So when I watch Josh and his style, I've always said, like, for a lesser level, I'd compare him to like a Lomachenko in the sense that his hit and move, etc. How do you try and work with him on that and improve on something that he's already very good at?
Well, you said style, right? I work on the substance. The style is what he is and what he has, but I work on the substance underneath it, and that's where my focus is. If the style is an entertaining style that's pleasing to the eye, that people like and he enjoys, I'm happy as long as the substance is dealt with correctly.
So do you enjoy watching him yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I love what I do, right? I love what I do, so it's a bit of an open-ended question that I'll narrow down for you. Yeah, of course, I love what I do, and I love the challenge of all the little elements of competition that get put in front of us.
So talk to me about Ranowski. I'm not going to try and pronounce his first name because I don't want to mess that up. What do you know about him? What are you expecting from him on Saturday night?
I know that all Polish fighters are strong. I know he's fit, he's young, he's hungry, he's unbeaten, and he sees this as his chance to break into a new category as a professional fighter. So I expect him to be the right challenge for Josh now.
Obviously, last time out, Josh was scheduled to fight up in Sheffield and he had to pull out because of illness. How's he looking now in comparison to that camp?
Well, like I said, there's been progression. And the sparring has been probably one of the biggest changes that I've made, where I haven't just had him spar, I've had dangerous, capable, smart sparring partners come in who are bigger than him, but just as clever to keep the stress on him in the gym, because with that level of challenge and that level of stimulus, he has the best chance to fulfill his potential.
What are your ambitions with Josh for the rest of this year? What would you like him to achieve?
Well, in terms of achievement, I don't know. You have to see each fight as it comes, and all we've got in front of us at the moment is Saturday night, because if you make a mistake in a fight and you get bumped off the conveyor belt, whatever you said and thought before is irrelevant. So it's all about him expressing what he needs to and doing what he needs to on Saturday night, and then we'll talk about the future after that.
Obviously, previously he was scheduled to fight David Avanesian, who's recently beat Kerman Laharaga for the EBU European title. What did you make of that when you heard about it, or have you watched it?
It's a great win. I mean, to go to Jaha's backyard and to beat him in front of the fanatic support that he's got, and the fact that he's a big, strong pressure welterweight as well, is a fantastic win, and that's made him EBU champion, and it's great for us because Josh is the EBU mandatory.
I was going to say, is that the fight which you'd like to maybe have next?
Well, we have Saturday night, and then he's scheduled to fight on June 1st, and so he's been nominated this week by the EBU. The parties have got a certain period to agree terms, and then we'll see when the fight will happen, but the fight will happen.
Now, you've just mentioned June 1st. Obviously, the big news that broke yesterday, Jarrell Miller failing his VADA test. What did you make when you heard it?
Just that same feeling. I'm sick of this shit now. Like these drug cheats in a dangerous sport where people's lives get altered, and each time I hear it, it just sickens me, because I've never been associated with a fighter that's cheated or fall foul of any dope testing. And if I was, I would never work with them again. It sickens me. And here I'm guiding and looking after the health and the careers of these young fighters. And if ever I had a fighter who fell foul of an opponent that cheated in that way, I do everything I can legally and civilly to make them pay and suffer for it, because they shouldn't be cheating in this sport. And even to the point now where I think everyone has to start taking responsibility. Everyone's shirking responsibility to this massive issue. The governing bodies, the promoters, everyone's shirking the responsibility. And every now and again they'll catch one. But when they catch one, it's one of many that aren't getting caught. And I think there needs to be more done to ensure. For example, as a coach and a manager, what I can do now, if I've got a fighter who's a commodity and has got a value, I'm going to start insisting that his opponents sign up to VADA dope testing for the fight, especially if you've got fighters who are licensed in one country, are training in another country or boxing over there, and all of a sudden you don't know whether they're getting dope tested or not. And I think that's something that personally I can try and push in my fighters' contracts to make sure that it gets covered, because everyone's just virtual signalling about this. There's another one, and no one really wants to deal with the issue. Everyone just wants to keep talking about it because it's a bit of a headline, and that sickens me a little bit and irritates me as well.
If it was down to you, what would be the punishment be for someone who was caught to be taking a performance-enhancing drug?
Well, even that is a myriad, right? Because like I've also got questions that I'd like to ask the regulatory bodies that slap these chemicals on the banned list, because maybe some chemicals shouldn't be on the banned list. But it's almost like, well, there's a possibility that benefits you, so we'll just stick it on the list. And then how are you supposed to know what you eat? If you go to the supermarket and you buy some food, how do you know what's in it? You believe you know what's in it because you read the label. But how do you know the label is 100% accurate? And so things are going into the food chain that we don't know about. We know that meat has enhancement to make it bigger, to make it more profitable for the companies. How do we know that what's put in it to enhance the size of it, so increase profit margins, doesn't make you fail a dope test? And it's an absolute mess. From top to bottom, it's a mess. It's only getting worse. From the testing authorities that put the banned substances on the list, so WADA and VADA and UCAD, all these organisations need to get a grip of it, and then the governing bodies of all sports and the promoters of all sports and the managers of all sports need to start actually trying to take responsibility, because otherwise it's just going to carry on.
Do you think that's an issue in itself, the fact that there's so many different governing bodies who try to look after but keep an eye on the drugs and do the drugs testing, and they've all got their own values and their own laws and rules within themselves?
And it's pissing in the wind, right? Because you've got to strip it down to the very start again and look at every single chemical that's on the banned list, and then say, right, why is it on the banned list? Should it be on the banned list? Because it's almost getting to the point now where the only way of making it a level playing field is just to say everyone can take whatever they want. Because at least that way you know that everyone's got the same options. But if one fighter's got more money or more contacts or a coach or a conditioner or a nutritionist that knows how to navigate around dope testing to cheat, it's a mess. So I wouldn't say that one person's responsible, I'd say that everyone's responsible, but everyone's shirking the responsibility.
Now, I've read up on what Jarrell's supposed to have taken, and Durable, GWC, 15, whatever you want to call it. It's an enhancing drug which allows you to perform longer during a fight.
What is it?
A performance enhancing drug which allows you to last longer during a fight.
How does it
Your endurance levels. So improves your endurance level so you can last longer in a bout. For example,
oxygen carrying capacity?
That's what I'd presume. So, for example, Jarrell, obviously he likes to come forwards, work his opponent down. So if he's taking something which improves his endurance, you imagine that significantly would help him in a bout against anybody. Having learned that when you watch him previously and you know about his style, are you surprised maybe somebody hasn't picked up on him because he's so big as well?
I think there's a lot of people out there not getting caught. So you can't just point at him. Like if you talk about the specific chemical he took, what was his reasoning for taking it?
He said he didn't knowingly take it, that's all he said.
What form was it? What format did he say it got into his system?
He hasn't said anything on that.
I'm not going to pass judgment on him because I don't know the specific situation. If he did cheat and he knew he cheated, then he should be gone. If it was a chemical that made him something that he wouldn't be naturally, that posed more of a threat to Anthony Joshua and more of a threat to Anthony Joshua's health than it should have done, it should be gone from the sport forever. But I don't know. Was it something that was part of a medication that actually doesn't have that much difference but helps him in his everyday life, or was it in the food chain?
The one thing which I can add, he said that he did a test the week before and everything come back clear, so it's only been in the past week, so I don't know what he could have taken again.
Well, does anyone know? So they found the compound. What I'm saying is I'm not going to pass judgment on a situation I don't know. All I'm saying is what I do understand and what I do believe is the whole thing is an absolute mess. Somehow, someone's got to try and wave this big magic wand and get some structure and order and a bit of consistency and continuity in how it's dealt with, monitored, punished, compensated, everything.
Now on AJ, who would you like to see him step in with on the new date now?
Joyce.
That's exactly what I was going to come on to. I just saw the link up with Joe. How did that opportunity come about?
Well, his manager Sam Jones has been contacting me for quite a while, and I've just never been available. I've been too busy, and but he was persistent and came and spoke to me. I met with Joe. I liked him. We did a trial. I like him. I think I can help him and help him fulfil his potential. And although he is only 8-0, he's already Commonwealth champion. His last fight, he beat a former WBC champion, WBC World Heavyweight champion. So, in terms of the belt that he's got and who he's beaten, in all the names that are being considered, why is he less credible? Because he's only had 8 fights? Well, Lomachenko fought for a world title in his second fight. So I don't think the number of fights should discredit him. I think you should look at the status he's achieved as a pro, and if it's valid, stick him in as an option.
Joe's obviously moved from Ismail Salas to Abel Sanchez to yourself now. When he came to you, did you set any type of long-term plan to ensure that it wasn't just maybe a few fights and Joe doesn't move on again? Or?
We have a long-term plan. I'm not interested in wasting my time, and he hasn't got the time to waste, to lose, to keep bouncing from one situation to another. So we're at the beginning of what I think is going to be an interesting, fun and successful working relationship.
Richard Schaefer's called him the best heavyweight out there. In his opinion, he's the best heavyweight in the world. What are your thoughts in terms of what you've seen in Joe in camp, and do you believe that yourself?
I'm surprised. There's some elements about him that have surprised me, pleasantly surprised me. I'm not going to talk about them because they're the things I'm working on. But I'm only interested in world championships, and I wouldn't be working with him if I didn't believe that can be his level.
And obviously, just wanted to get your thoughts on the other fight on the weekend, Amir versus Terence Crawford. Who are you backing? How do you see the fight going?
Well, I think Terence Crawford wins that.
How does the fight play out?
I think Amir will be quick at the start. I think his speed will put him in trouble because I think Terence will time him, and I think Crawford will win by mid to late stoppage.
And finally, I forgot to mention earlier, Shannon Core tonight. How has she been looking in camp? How does it feel working with her? What are you improving on working with her in that sense?
Well, Charlie Beatty's her coach, so he's the one that works on a daily basis. But like I said, when Eddie asked me about her, I think she's something about her. She's tough. She's got a story. She's got an incredible desire and will to succeed. So her work ethic's fantastic, and she's got a great opportunity. She's a novice in every sense of the word because she didn't have many amateur fights and she only had one pro fight. But she's got a great chance to achieve something in the sport, and I hope that she does.
Well, Adam Booth, I appreciate your time. So thank you for speaking to Boxing Social.
You're welcome. Thanks.